We're fixing to, right?
Anything?
Call to order. Roll call.
Here.
Here. Everybody present. I need a motion to amend the agenda, please.
I make a motion to amend the agenda.
Okay, Billy made a motion. You got a second?
I'll second.
Noel, second. All in favor with aye.
Aye.
Okay, we don't have any public addresses. Everybody had a chance to look at the minutes?
Yeah. Shot them out here.
Everything okay with you? Minutes will stand as presented. Unfinished business, nothing. We'll go down the page quickly.
Your financial reports as of July 30th, we ended the month at approximately $2,686,049. All of the funds are in the black at the moment. We will begin some big projects here very shortly with the square, with the street and sanitation shed. I think Burley's got some other things on that he'll talk to you about. Noel, you had asked me the other day about our sales tax. We got that in today. We were actually we were a little over $16,000 up from last year as far as this month, comparing month to month. I did,
16,000 for 1 month.
yeah, for 1
Okay.
month.
Okay.
I did look at comparing 2019 to 2020, and I think at one time we had talked about that there was about a $24,000 we were over last year. But you have to remember that is looking, when you looked at those particular numbers, you were looking at the sales tax report from the state. They do a calendar year. I do a fiscal year, which is from July 1 to June 30th. And I looked at that this year, comparing 2019 fiscal year to 2020, and we are actually up. Of course, there'll be audit adjustments, so just know this will flux. But we were up actually about $50,000 more than what we were last year,
That's good.
comparing the sales taxes. And I think part of that has to do also with that use tax. Now that the, like Amazon and all of those are starting to actually tax some online sales, we're starting to see a little bit of that coming through on that use tax and some things. So that's good. And I would also like to let you know, the auditors were actually supposed to be here Thursday to start their preliminary audit, and then we do the actual audit September 21st. I was contacted today. They are not going to be here. They had someone in their office test positive for COVID, so they're on 14-day at-home work. And so they have a web portal, and we're going to be uploading a lot of our documents to that web portal for them to go ahead and kind of start a preliminary process. And then we'll see about September 21st. I'm very concerned about whether or not, or how we're going to get that fiscal part of the audit done. So we'll just have to play it on a day-to-day basis. But we are starting that audit process as best we can under these circumstances. So just want that.
These auditors coming out of Springfield.
Yes, they come out of Springfield, and normally they set up back there, but they're on lockdown for a while.
You talk about the use tax, as in within the last year, the last 2 years, anyway, a lot of cities were set up to collect that use tax.
And
I didn't know we were, and I was talking to Peggy, I said, but anyway, tell the story on that. It's a little unusual.
yeah, he came back and said, we really need to get that set up, and I'm like, we're already set up. We've been drawing that for years.
Yeah.
And that was back when Mayor Bud Norman was in office. We actually passed a use tax back then that was fell right within the language of this. So we didn't have to go through all that process. It's never been a lot.
Yeah.
It's always been just a fairly small amount. But as the years that went on, it started to pick up. And so we were one of the very, very few.
Yeah. What shocked me was, why Bud would have done that many years ago.
It was just something that
collect on it all, was it?
No.
Well, and then the idea too was that we're collecting, some of those out-of-state sales, so it wasn't going to affect necessarily people right here having to pay an additional tax, and people passed it. So it's very fortunate for us.
Okay. Caught me off guard.
Yeah,
But it's a good thing.
yeah.
It's a good thing. Okay. Is that all you had, Peggy?
Yes, it is.
Okay, Suzanne?
Okay, so this ordinance is to correct one of the ordinances we passed last month. And the only thing I did is I got the property owner's name wrong on the ordinance, everything else was right. So this is just to repeal that last ordinance and correct the name. So ordinance number 1082 is an ordinance to repeal number 1078, replacing it with a revised ordinance to change the property owner's name. So an ordinance to amend the Ava zoning ordinance by changing the official zoning map and repealing that part of the ordinance in conflict herewith to change zoning from L1 light industry to B3 general business, a property located at 402 Haley Street in Douglas County, Missouri, owned by Anita Madkey and Linda Duncan, for business known as Massage and Body Works, described in legal description below by request of Planning and Zoning Commission.
Okay, motion to accept the first reading on the ordinance, or for the change on ordinance 1082.
I'll make that motion.
Keith,
I'll second.
Stan second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and then the second reading on ordinance 1082 is an ordinance to repeal ordinance number 1078, replacing it with a revised ordinance to change the property owner's name, an ordinance to amend the Ava zoning ordinance by changing the official zoning map and repealing that part of the ordinance in conflict herewith to change zoning from L1 light industry to B3 general business, property located at 402 Haley Street in Douglas County, Missouri, owned by Anita Madkey and Linda Duncan, for business known as Massage and Body Works, described in legal description below by request of the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Motion to accept the second reading, 1082.
I make a motion to accept the second reading of ordinance 1082.
Billy made a motion,
I'll second.
Noel second. All in favor with aye?
Aye.
Everybody in favor? Did the council have anything to add that they'd want to add tonight? Nothing? Okay, I've got a few things here, and it won't take too long to go through them. I'm gonna go in the order that I've got them wrote down here. This is, the last meeting we had, I mentioned about the Amish tear down on the building, and they've got probably all the metal off of it now, and, weather permitting, they'll probably be done tomorrow, and, the concrete work, the counties, they want it for, wash, control, and, but anyway, they're gonna come and get it, so that's a plus for us, and there's quite a bit of concrete to come out, so, the county's gonna take it. But anyway, that's, they're well underway tearing it down, so, and that's good. We had a pump on the sand filter at the wastewater treatment plant go down, and that was a pretty expensive thing. Of course, everything at the treatment plant it seems like it's expensive to me, but that was a $5,700 lick on that, just getting that pump replaced.
Now, is there one pump for each one of the
Yes.
pits?
Yeah.
Because there's a pump for each pit.
Yeah, there's a lot of pumps out there, but
Yeah.
yes, the answer to your question, yes.
One per
Yeah.
pit? Okay.
And while we're on the treatment plant, of course, we get complaints about sewer rates, and it is high, but it costs a lot of money to treat that. I mean, it costs a lot of money to pump it out of the ground, but it costs a lot more to treat it. And you're gonna find out here in a minute how much it does cost to pump it out of the ground and what it costs to treat it. But just that pump alone was 57, and I contacted Stephen last week, I believe it was, and I said, you better start making appointments for getting that other sand filter rebuilt this year, and I think we budgeted $125,000 for that, and that'll put us in pretty good shape, I think, on the treatment plant. But these sand filters were 30 years old, and the life of them was 25 years. So anyway, we've got 3 of them, and that'll put That'll have the two old ones
Yeah.
taken care of, and the other one's got a few more years on it. So after this year, we'll be good on that, but he's making an appointment for later in the year, and then we try to schedule it where it's not a rainy season, because that's kind of hard to do, but that's our goal, is to catch it in the fall when it's not quite as much rain. And we did set aside 125, and that covers the changing it out. And then we've got to get the old sand out, but we'll do that ourselves. And but anyway, last year it was about 125 time we got it done. And while we're talking about spending a lot of money, I mentioned the last meeting we had, well number 5 was down. And now it's back online now. And we had to replace 5 new joints of pipe, which is 100 foot of pipe. And we put all new water from top to bottom. And a new pump and a new motor was $27,147. So it gives you some idea of what it costs us to pump it out of the ground and then treat it. So it's very expensive to do that. But we're back, all our roads are back online now, so we're in good shape on that. And this is information on Myrna. And Peggy, if you want to explain that a little better for me, I mean, you could do it better than
Yeah,
I could, but
I did grab the certificates, but we went to, well, actually Jennifer went to the Myrna conference this year for me since I was gone. And we had gotten 2 certificates. One was for getting 100% on our annual evaluation. That they come in and they do the audit report that they do. They come in and there's about 3, 4, or 5 pages of files and stuff. You got to document this and that. So we got 100% on that. So we got a certificate for that. And then we also got another certificate for doing 100% on our PD online training. All the officers, they don't have to do, you know, there's maybe 10 lessons they don't have to do, then we have to do only 8, that apparently they had done, each officer had done all of their lessons 100%. So we got a certificate for that as well. And that's good, I think, to get 2 certificates like that.
Yeah, it is
for a little
good.
town like that.
It's great. And for some people that might ask, MIRMA stands for Missouri Intergovernment Risk Management Association. Just in case somebody might ask. Without mentioning any names.
Since you work so hard, I probably won't ask.
Okay.
No, do it.
Yeah, do it. We had talked some time ago about, so we put a new water line in it's been several years ago. Tom gets away from the south end of town, from the water tower up to Curry, top of the hill here. That's a 10-inch water line, and about everything, I guess, from the top of the hill to the south end of town was not hooked onto that line. For some reason or another, they jumped across the road over on the west side, and it wasn't supposed to. That line was supposed to come up the east side, and all those, everything on the east side through there should have been hooked onto it, but it wasn't. So what we got is we got a 10-inch PVC line running on the west side of Jefferson from the south end of town to the top of the hill on Curry. And we got a 4-inch transite line on the other side that those houses and businesses are hooked onto. So, and anyway, we talked about this some time ago. What we wanted to do is eliminate all of the old transite lines that we can in town. Because I think Stan mentioned the other day, well, we're down there about every 2 weeks doing something at U.S. Forest Service. But anyway, we did get Kelly over here, and that the road boring quote from Kelly was $1,500 per bore, and that's to set up on the west side and bore under to the east side, and they'll put a 2-inch sleeve in. And, but anyway, that, each bore would be about $1,500 per bore. And we don't have to put a bore in for each. We can put multiple connections on one bore. But anyway, we're gonna need to get everybody hooked onto it from up the top of the hill to the south. We need at least 13 bores, so, $1,500 a piece, that was $19,500, I believe, so. But that's not something we'll have to do all at one time. We can work it in with Kelly and maybe do a couple. They thought they could do a couple in one day. And anyway, I'm asking for your recommendation to, follow up on it. I know it's a lot of money, and but it's something that the more of that transite line we can get rid of. And it, like Stan mentioned, it's about every 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It's pretty often we're down there on that south end of town patching a 4-inch transite line that we shouldn't even be in service at this point.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'd like to start that process and just take a few of them at a time. If we can get 4 of them or whatever, just proceed with that. And I talked with Peggy, and we can make it work. But it'll be pretty tight, but we can make it work. But
It makes more sense to have that over there and not using it
yes,
though.
and it'll eliminate the transite line from the top of the hill at Curry Avenue to Casey's, and then from Jim's Body Shop over to, there's an insurance office over there, the medical clinic there, but it'll eliminate all of that transite line, just abandon it and walk away from it. We don't have to go back and fix it every little bit. So yes, we are spending a lot of money, but it's gonna save us quite a bit in repair, so.
So that subdivision back behind the insurance office there, all the houses back in there, are they all being served by that same transite
That's where it cut
line?
across the road.
That's where it cut across, right there?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we've got, it's similar, like Jeff said, there was one south of that we needed, but basically, I said plumb to the south end, but it.
Right there's the cutoff on it.
That's basically the cutoff, yeah. And it jumped across the road.
Yeah.
For some reason, but anyway, that's what happened, and we can make it right. And it'll just cost us some money to get it all tied in and eliminate a situation that we don't need. But I'm asking, I'd really like to have a motion, I guess, to go on and just carry on with that when and just put them in as we can. And like I said, we have the money. It'll be tight on the water part, but we can make it work.
I wasn't real clear, maybe a dumb question. The 10-inch line is being used.
Yes.
It's just that one subdivision is not
And Billy had,
connected to it. Is that correct?
Billy clarified it a little better. It comes up, where the subdivision, I don't even know what that's called, across from Jim's Body Shop. It's hooked on the east side there, and then it jumps across Jefferson, and from there on up to the top of the hill. Everything on the west side, or east side's not hooked onto it,
Okay.
so. But anyway, it was 13 bores, we'll have them, can hook all of them up, so. But we can put multiple units on one board, with the exception of US Forest Service, and they've got a 2-inch service line of their own.
So they probably was not hooked onto that, maybe just because of the expense or
We really don't know.
just oversight?
We don't know why.
Hmm.
It was because the original plan called for that line to run up on the east side all the way. And somehow or another, it got over on the other side of the road somehow or another because of easier digging maybe, I don't know. But anyway, it's a problem.
Dirt over here, asphalt over here.
To be honest with you, I think it was pretty tight digging.
Yeah.
I think we had a sewer line here, and it had to lay in between an existing water line and a sewer line. I think it had to go right between it. And but I don't know for sure. But anyway, it's something that we need to take care of and get away from the transite line. And like to do that with a motion if you'd like.
I'll make that motion that we proceed with, according to your recommendation on that water line.
Okay. Do we have a second on that?
I'll second it.
Stan, second. Any further discussion?
Just one last question, the 1,500 per bore, and you said that includes the boring plus sleeving the hole, and then the
Absolutely.
city will make the final connections of all pipe that's run through there? Okay.
Yes, sir. That's the bore and the slit.
And the sleeves.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Everybody in favor? Thank you. But I think I mentioned that'll, somewhere in the neighborhood of 3,000 feet of transite line that we can eliminate.
That's a good thing.
Yes. I've got stuff rolled all over the place. I'm trying not to miss anything. We run ads for bids for the concrete work over at the street department and sanitation. And for the concrete, the footing and slab work. And we had 2 bids, and they were really close. JB Construction was $33,780, and Bloodhound Construction was $35,000. So we need if we want to carry on with that, which we do, we need a motion to accept one of the bids there, whichever one you prefer. One was $33,780, and one was at $35,000.
Doesn't make any difference, I guess, if it's the low one. I mean,
Okay. Is that a motion?
oh, yeah. Go with the low one.
Dane made a motion for JB Construction at $33,780. And we have a second.
I'll second that.
Billy's second. Any further discussion? None. All in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Everybody in favor?
And we do have this project budgeted in there, so.
Yeah, yeah.
um,
And it's gonna be tight. Peggy makes me pinch all the pennies and nickels. It's not quarters, it's pennies and nickels. If we don't have anything else for open session, we need a motion to go into closed.
Motion to go closed.
No, made a motion.
I'll
Second.
it.
Need a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Pretty quick.
Internet sales, the internet tax. Exactly what is it? I remember when they passed